Hello and welcome to another edition of Fisher Football Focus. I'm your host, James Bailey. The Cardinals are riding high off to a 5-0 start heading into their matchup under the lights this past Saturday at Guarino-Hyde Stadium against the Morrisville State Mustangs. In the first ever matchup between the two teams last season, the Cardinals came away with a 34-29 victory. Let's see how they handled part two.
Morrisville got the scoring started, driving down the field in 18 plays on their opening drive and putting up 7, thanks to this effort from quarterback Corey Benedetto. The Fisher offense would then take the field. Let's take a quick look back to last week. Freshman quarterback Colin Fuico airs it out long in Fisher's first offensive snap, throwing a 78-yard touchdown to Will Kuhn. Now back to Saturday, where Fisher runs nearly the exact same play. Fuico airs it out to fellow freshman Will Blake for 33 yards to get the offense rolling. 4 plays later, Fisher would answer the Mustangs' score with Chris Smith carrying the ball 13 yards to the right into the end zone for a touchdown. Now in the second quarter, Smith takes the handoff up the middle and sees nothing but daylight, 18 yards to the house to give the Cardinals their first lead of the game. Later on in the quarter, Fuico would extend the lead, faking the handoff to Smith and scampering in from 2 yards out. Morrisville kept it competitive though, with Benedetto here scrambling in from 3 yards out to cut Fisher's lead to 21-14 heading into halftime. Things got hairy for the Cardinals early in the second half. Fuico's pass bounces off the hands of his receiver and into the hands of Morrisville safety Tim Weber. 6 plays later, Benedetto dives into the end zone for his 3rd touchdown of the night, and we suddenly have ourselves a tied game. The Fisher offense shook off the turnover, though, and had their own long drive. Smith would score again from 11 yards out to give the Cardinals back the lead. Disaster would strike the Mustangs on the ensuing kickoff. Craig Gilbert gets leveled by Fisher's Seth Billington. Anthony Lee dives on the ball for the Cardinals, and suddenly Fisher's back in business. Fuico wasted no time getting back in the end zone, hitting Mike Colicchio 3 plays later from 15 yards out to extend the Cardinal lead. Then after a Morrisville field goal, the Cardinals would put the Mustangs down for good. Fuico mishandles the low snap, but still manages to get around the corner and scamper in from 12 yards out. Both teams would score one more time to make the final 49-31 Cardinals. The replacements, Fuico and Smith, performed magnificently. Fuico ended up with 282 passing yards and 4 total touchdowns. Smith finished with 145 rushing yards and 3 scores. The Cardinals maintained their perfect record, moving to 6-0 overall and 4-0 in the Empire 8.
After the break, head coach Paul Vosberg reflects on his team's 6-0 start, so stay here.
Get up, I know you found a way. Head up, look through those clouds of gray.
Now it's our turn. Go to ourturntohelp.org and donate what you can. Hope is on the way.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined of course by head coach Paul Vosberg. Happy to have you back on again, Coach.
Glad to be back.
So, let's start right off with it. The opening drive of the game, we saw Corey Benedetto run in there at quarterback. Brandon Gwinnett had started the previous week, so Benedetto coming in. I knew it threw me and Mark Grube up in the broadcast booth off a little bit, and they just drove down the field on a long 18-play touchdown drive. Benedetto kind of saw, but he was kind of the only Morrisville offensive player that was able to kind of have consistent success the entire game, but especially in that first drive. Do you think that especially that first drive was a matter of you guys may not have scouted as much for him, expecting Gwinnett to play? Or?
No, I don't think so, because they didn't do anything different. We just didn't make plays when we needed to. We had several 3rd down and long situations on him, and he came up with a couple of big plays with his legs, got away from the pass rush, and we had good coverage downfield. He threw a really nice ball on the sideline the kid caught on the first down that they got. They were 3rd and 10 or 11, whatever it was, and that was just a great throw and catch at that time. But we kind of helped their drive and so on. So credit to them, and we just didn't make the plays we needed to get off the field.
And really, it's almost like a lose-lose situation because your defensive line was busting straight through and getting pressure on Benedetto, it seemed like all night, but he was just able to escape, and your guys are playing good coverage on the field too, but it just kind of opened up that middle part of the field. So how do you kind of got to adjust to that quarterback kind of being able to scramble out like that when you're doing good things on both sides, but just kind of that middle ground there is where he's able to get through.
Well, we didn't maintain our rush lanes. When you got a running quarterback, you better make sure you do a good job with your pass rush lanes and keep him in the pocket and keep him contained, and we didn't really do that. We lost those, and he's a good enough athlete that he got out of there, and that's the advantage of having a nice running quarterback, that if you make those mistakes up front, he'll make you pay for them.
So big key play happened in the third quarter when Fuico had that ball tipped up through his first career interception, and Morrisville goes on and scores off of it, and all of a sudden it's a 21-21 game there early in the third quarter. And we mentioned they're a good 0-4 team, but at the same time, you guys can be thinking we're tied with an 0-4 team right now in the third quarter. What were you doing on this? You notice anything on the sideline that kind of get them back hyped up? Or you think they were just ready to go back out there?
Well, I think our guys were ready to go back out there, and we talked at halftime before we came out. This is a 60-minute game, and let's make sure we have a great 30 minutes here in the second half. And didn't start out the way we wanted it to. Those things happened. It got tipped up. And so on. We had a chance to get off the field, and we didn't get off the field, and again on defense, and credit to them, and then they tie it up, and okay, it's tied up. We've been here before. We've been in this situation where we've been in tied games. We've been in situations where we've been behind before. Let's just stay composed and keep playing our game.
Yeah, and he's mentioned the good response. You guys go on to score 4 more times, when 49-31. So do you think that play, do you think that touchdown right there was a motivating factor? Or do you think you guys just went out there and finally started executing and finishing drives, stuff like that?
Well, I think so. I think our offense was doing a great job for the whole game as a whole, and they knew they could move the football, and it was just we needed to get rid of our mistakes on defense, and then we could hold them, and we did. We came up with some good stops and so on, and we came up with some good special teams plays and so on. So we just needed to play the rest of the game a little bit better than we were playing at that point.
So, we talked last week about how good Colin Fuico looked in his first start. Kyle usually start the freshman, but he really sustained that success this week. Statistically, he had 282 passing yards, had 4 total touchdowns. But really, just watching the game, he was making a lot of smart decisions. Scrambling out of the pocket when he had to, throwing tough passes across his body, hitting receivers where he had to be. What have you thought going out there with your freshman quarterback, the maturity he's kind of shown on the field?
Well, I think he's shown a lot of maturity. I think he grew a lot from week 1 to week 2 as far as his play time and starting the last 2 games. And I think Coach Kramer and Coach Fiacchi have done a good job getting him prepared for games, and he's executed what they've wanted him to execute. So it's a combination of Colin doing what he's asked to do and coached to do, and it's a good job by 2 of our coaches doing a good job getting them ready to play. Yeah,
and obviously with Matt Nathan being a senior, you're going to need a quarterback long term, and so do you think that obviously you don't want to see Nathan go out with the injury, but do you think these couple games are going to help you guys out long term, getting Fuico some extra time on the field before he becomes potentially a full-time starter next season?
Well, it's a good time for him to get more and more play time and so on. So anytime you get more play time, it's going to add to your ability to play and so on and so forth. But I think he's in a tough situation and he's handling it very well. And the more play time he gets, hopefully the better and better he gets.
Yeah, we saw there in the fourth quarter, got hit late there on a roughing the passer call and was on the field for an extra couple seconds. Had to come on an extra couple plays there. We holding your breath a little bit there, thinking that you might have just lost your freshman backup quarterback in that situation.
Well, that came to mind. There was no doubt. Anytime a guy goes down, you're always worried that that young man may not be able to play at that point. So whether it's Colin or somebody else, but he got up and dusted it off. He got ready to go again. Came back in and finished the game strong.
Yeah, I think he scored a rushing touchdown on that
yes,
drive
he did.
right there too.
Yes,
so.
he did.
So it's good. We talked a little bit last week about all the injuries in the first time since whenever this has happened. You guys are 6-0 right now. First time in a long time. That's been. Can you recall last time you guys had a start the season this good?
I can't remember when we've been 6-0 right off the bat. In that last year we ran off 6 straight wins, but that was after losing several games first. But no, this is a great start for the kids and so on. But now it's time to get ready for the next game.
That's right. Yeah. Next game is Utica. A tough team. You guys were both undefeated 2 weeks ago. Utica coming off 2 straight losses, so I think that they're going to be coming out with a little bit more fire now, knowing that they've lost a couple. Definitely this is kind of a make or break game for keeping them in Empire 8 contention.
Oh, this is a critical game for them. There is no doubt. Anytime you play in the Empire 8, you better be ready to play, and they're a good football team, and I'm sure they're going to come out ready to play. They lost 2 tough ones back to back, and But they're still a very, very good football team, and if they want to get back in the league race, and the last 2 years, teams with 2 losses have won the conference title. So they got to be thinking that they're not out of this yet. So we're one of the things that they have to take care of right off the bat. So they'll be ready to play us on Saturday afternoon.
And getting into more specifics, I mean, obviously the key to Utica offensively is Teddy Van Galen. Last year, I remember talking on the show, he threw for 335 yards, but you managed to keep him out of the end zone. You guys looking to do something a little differently to keep the yardage down, or would you be happy with him putting up big yards and keeping them scoreless again?
Well, I don't worry about the yards. Yardage, those stats don't mean anything. It's how many points you put up on the board and so on. It's the same thing for your offense. Just like everybody tries to look at time of possession and all this and that, and what makes a difference is how many points did you put up and how many did you give away, and that's the final thing that's most important for us. And that, we would like to limit the yardage and limit his opportunities to score and so on. But and passing stats can be one of the most misleading stats there are, because you can get a lot of passing yards and not get the ball in the end zone because you can't run it at the end, and the field shortens and it becomes better for the defense at times against the throwing teams. But we're just going to have to play a sound football game against these guys. This Utica team is very good.
Yeah, and they, if you're going to look at the defensive side of the ball now, they do a good job shutting down the pass, but they've struggled a little bit with the run. One of their defensive coaches, your former run stopper, defensive captain last year, Brandon Miller. You're going to go out there, just keep playing your offense. You don't really look at the stats, just keep on doing what you're going to do.
We need to do what we do, and they need to stop what we do. So I'm sure Coach Kramer, Coach Fiocchi, and the rest of the offensive staff will put together a real good game plan for them, and that game plan will be based on what we do well and try to take advantage of what maybe they don't do so well.
And finally, closing, I'm sure you saw the video of Utica versus Cortland, the interception that made it on SportsCenter top 10 plays, so like that. You kind of hope that stuff like that could get you on the map. You guys can you seen anything like that happen in the game that you've seen recently?
No, we haven't had any big plays like that happen with us so far. So yeah, there was quite a play for. Got to give the kid credit. He didn't stop on the play, and because he didn't stop on the play, he ends up on SportsCenter.
Yeah, it's a big deal for him, and it'd be a big deal for you guys to be able to win again and go 7-0. So good luck this upcoming weekend, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Coming up next, I'll be joined by seniors Mark Guarino-Hyde and Austin Beck, so keep it here.
Big dreams and good grades aren't enough to get into college. There are actual steps you need to take. Finding someone who can help is the first and most important. For the next steps, go to knowhowtogo.org.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined by 2 seniors now. We got Mark Guarino-Hyde and Austin Beck. Happy to have you guys on.
Happy to be here.
All right. I was freaky. So, Mark, we'll start with you. Last year, obviously, you're coming off a pretty injury-riddled season, only got into play 2 games. So, coming into your senior season, especially missing most of last year with injury, that kind of give you extra motivation to really come out and work harder this offseason to get out there and make the most of this season?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, working out all spring, this past spring, and then all summer, that was in the back of my head, to try and stay healthy and to help contribute to this team and help win in any way possible.
All right. So, Austin, you're a bit of a utility player in this team. You kind of play all over the field. We were talking before. You play running back, fullback, tight end, just basically wherever they want you on offense. Mm-hmm. Is there any specific role or position that you prefer playing more of, or?
Well, I played running back pretty much in all of high school and before that. So right now with the injuries that we have, I'm going to be filling in with a little bit of running back role and probably a little tight end as well.
Yeah, and we've seen, especially you mentioned the running back injuries. You line up in the backfield, take a few more carries. Obviously Chris Smith's been filling in pretty well right there, but Smith goes down. I think he might be one of the next men up. So you think you'd be ready to step in the role and know the offense and be able to take more carries there?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, playing running back in the past definitely helps a lot. Our offense is very unique. It's very fast-tempoed, so I think I'll be able to fit the role well.
want to plead your case to Coach Foss right now why you should be getting more carries?
I'll leave that up to him.
All right. Moving back to Mark, your really entire defensive unit, we're doing a great job all game. Notice just getting the backfield right off the snap. You're really causing a lot of havoc and really kind of forced Morrisville to kind of abandon any sort of traditional running game. What do you think that was? Was that a schematic thing? Was it, Morrisville's O-line was a little weak? Were you guys just all on your game? What do you think kind of contributed to that?
Well, I think it was definitely a schematic thing, and also I think from an up-front perspective, I know the D-line really wanted to get after these guys and create havoc and get in the backfield, and we knew that if we can, start putting these guys in the backfield, that we'd have a better success on defense.
And mentioned they didn't run the ball, hand the ball off very much, but we saw Corey Benedetto take the ball a lot, and he was slipping all around. So how tough was he kind of to help to contain, and what kind of adjustments did you have to make to kind of help slow him down? Because he was scrambling whenever he wanted to, it felt like, there in the first half.
Yeah, he was definitely slippery. He's a very good athlete. I think we were, on passing downs, we were opening up big lanes for him to run through, and then, as the game kind of went on, we were working on getting in proper rushing lanes, and that was helping us be more effective from keeping him from running out of the pocket, running down the field, and so on.
How would you grade your defensive performance as a whole against Morrisville?
I'd like to think it was, I would say C+. I think a lot of the guys on the defensive side weren't very happy with the performance. I think we all know we can play better. To this day, we may be 6-0, but we don't think we've played our best football on defense yet. So we're continuing to work hard and to try to be our best.
Moving back over to the offensive side, you guys offense has really been lighting up all season, averaging just under 40 points per game, just a hair over 438 yards per game. So your offense has really been moving, and we saw at times last season where your offense kind of looked anemic and not really struggle to move the ball and put up points. I haven't really seen that at all this season. Have you seen anything different between last season and this season that's kind of caused your offense, because returning a lot of the same personnel, that's kind of caused your offense to click a little better this season?
What we've been focusing on a lot is our change in tempo from last year to this season. We've really been trying to speed it up. We are catching a lot of teams off guard with how fast we move. Even with the injuries at quarterback, running back, across the board, we're still moving very quickly and effectively. So that's one of the biggest things that we've tried to change in this season. And I think we're doing very well with the injuries that we have. We're just always playing very fast.
Yeah, and have you guys kind of kept the same confidence? I mean, obviously, when you lose a couple of key players like you guys have, sometimes you see offenses completely just go downhill. I mean, you guys have got to stay the same and almost got put up 49 points this past week, almost looked better. So you think it's kind of the scheme's kind of out there that anyone can kind of step in and be successful?
Yeah, definitely. With our offense and how Coach Kramer runs our offense, I think regardless of who's in there, we're going to play very well. Freshman quarterback Collins stepping up and playing amazing. He's doing everything right now, but we're always looking to do better. We're still missing blocks, reading keys wrong, reading holes wrong, so we're always looking to do better. We scored 49 points, but we always want to shoot for as high as we can.
All right. Moving back to Mark. We had Coach Keys on after week 2, and that was kind of when he was kind of stepping his foot in to being the defensive coordinator in that new role, and kind of a new defense. Now 6 games in, I mean, obviously you played your first 3 years with Coach Fox. What have you noticed these 6 games that's been different for your defense? Obviously you've started off 6-0, I haven't done that any other year. What's your defense been like this season that would have been a little different?
I think just the trust, and I think everyone's, really committed to the team. And I think that goes both to the offense and defense and special team players. I think everyone's kind of playing as a more cohesive unit instead of, offense, defense, special teams kind of, being in separate rooms, this and that. I think everyone's kind of playing together. Everyone's has a little more trust. And, it's like an open conversation with Coach Keys. You can feel comfortable really talking to him really about anything. And he's always open to new ideas and listening to really any perspectives that everybody has and kind of incorporating them into the team and to help, create a better, week-to-week playing field for us, I guess.
With the injuries, you've got guys like Chris Smith who don't have a choice. They got to be able to work back and forth between all the units, right?
Mm-hmm.
So finally moving on, obviously next week you're playing against Utica. We'll start with Austin. I mean, they're they go out and they give up 188 rushing yards per game, so do a decent job against the pass, but they've struggled a little bit against the run. You playing a little bit more in the backfield, what are you guys going to be looking to exploit?
We're going to play our game. I mean, we do a lot of both. We throw the ball very well, and again, with injuries, we're still running the ball really well. I thought Chris had an excellent game this past weekend, and we're looking to do the exact same thing. I think Utica is a very good team. They've been playing very well. They've had some tough games just like us. So I think, we have just another game, very good opponent. It's at the Empire 8. Every team can win it any day.
Mark, obviously the big key to slow down defensively is going to have to slow down Teddy Van Galen, a pretty good quarterback. Defensive line, how are you going to try to pressure him, get into his head?
Well, it's going to start from the first play. We're going to have to, like I said earlier, we're going to have to start playing in their backfield. Start getting hits to the quarterback, sacks. And those type of things are going to really start taking a toll on a quarterback. If you're bringing them down, you're rushing them, deflecting passes. It all comes into, the equation with the quarterback's confidence. So we need to get after him right from the get-go.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, guys, for coming on. Good luck this upcoming weekend.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're not done yet. Up next, I'll be sitting down with graduate assistant William Fiacci, so stay here.
I present to you Algebra 2, Foreign Languages, and finally, Biology. Who among you will step up to their challenge?
Me.
Yeah, I'll do it. Me too. Sign me up.
Take on the tough classes now. You need them to prepare for college.
Welcome back to Fisher Football Focus, joined now by assistant coach William Fiacci. Happy to have you on, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
So you are a quarterbacks coach here at Fisher. Obviously, in the past couple of weeks, we've talked on the show extensively. Lost Matt Nayton, and been playing Colin Fuico the past couple of weeks. How has that transition kind of been between having the veteran experienced guy and then having to bring in the true freshman?
Obviously it was a little bit of an adjustment for us. We had to look at, altering some of the things that we were doing on offense just based on an experience point. But, Colin's done a great job for us so far. He's been able to continue to make big plays down the field as well as not turn the ball over. I mean, he had one interception last game that was a pass that, was tipped that could have possibly been caught, and I think a fumble in the first game. But he's done a really good job of holding on to the ball and making plays when we need him to.
Yeah, and just in general, I mean, obviously you hate to see all the injuries, but giving a chance for a guy like Colin, and then, in the backfield we saw, obviously Christmas started, but we saw some younger guys like Tobari Baylor, Anthony Ronaldo get some snaps out there. So do you think, obviously, do you think you kind of got to find the silver lining on this and say that, the injuries, they're not good, but at least you're getting some younger guys experience moving forward?
Yeah, obviously it's tough to lose guys like Tony and James coming out of the backfield, guys that have been, super talented and very successful in their time here. But I think our guys have done a good job of handling the mentality of next man up. Chris Smith came over from defense and has been running the ball really, really well. And, we have guys like Austin Beck and Anthony Ronaldo and Flagler and, like you said, Mr. Baylor, who have, when their number's called, they've gone in and they've been able to execute and play well. So, obviously, like you said, getting those young guys some reps right now, that's going to help us in the future, and it helps us feel more comfortable being able to put those guys in the game.
So you're a graduate assistant, one of the few assistants on the staff that didn't play for Coach Fosberg, comes back. So what kind of brought you to Fisher in the first place?
When I was in high school, I always went to a camp in Syracuse, and Coach Kramer, the offensive coordinator, always worked the camp, so I kind of developed a relationship with him when I was in high school, and he recruited me for a little while. And when I decided to go elsewhere, I came back and I started working at that same camp. So I was able to grow that relationship with him. And when I finally got done playing, he called me and offered me an opportunity to come and experience coaching, and it was something that I was really excited about that I couldn't turn down.
So mentioned you are a graduate assistant, getting your MBA here. Do you see coaching as something you want to do more long term, or do you think it was a nice way to help pay for your education here and get that master's degree?
Obviously, the fiscal benefits of being a graduate assistant are hard to pass up, but it's given me an opportunity to look into coaching as a profession, and obviously it'll be hard for me to have fun doing anything else as much as I do coaching and being involved in football. So it's definitely something that has made me think hard about really what I want to do when I'm all done, and I'll have to figure that out.
So you actually played Division I at University of Albany. You spent 3 years as a starter, broke several school records, was an academic All-American, had a pretty successful overall career. What would you say your best memory, maybe your favorite game was there playing at Albany?
Probably my junior year, we opened a new stadium, and really the whole city and all the students and everybody came out, and we filled up the brand new stadium, and there's a purple path that runs down onto the field, and probably running down that purple path with my teammates out onto the field, that was probably one of the coolest experiences that I had opening up that new stadium there.
Has there been like any sort of like adjustment for you? Obviously, you played at the Division I FCS level to come into a Division III school. Have you noticed any differences in the way things kind of run between the two levels?
I guess one of the biggest things is just the amount of time that we're able to have with the players. In the Division III level, there's a lot more focus on making sure that everything is under wraps with academics and nobody's ever missing anything. And at the Division I level, the coaches have a lot more designated time with you that you can meet and go through meetings and film and all those things. So I guess the biggest thing is just being able to try and find time with our student athletes to have meetings and get ready for the games.
All right, and now moving ahead, obviously you got Utica up next weekend. You guys went out there. Utica's defense, they give up a lot of rushing yards, but they are pretty tough on the pass. What do you think you're going to have to go out there? Looks like Colin might have to start again this upcoming weekend with a younger quarterback, probably his toughest test. What are you going to be looking to try to focus on this week?
Really the big thing for us is just continuing to do what we do well. They're pretty good on defense. They've done a good job against the pass, but last week we ran for almost 200 yards, and I think that's something that can help us open up the pass game. The better we can run the ball, the more successful we'll be throwing it. Loosen up the defense a little bit, and that'll allow Colin to continue to make the plays he's been able to make.
All right, thank you very much for coming on, Coach.
Thanks for having me.
That's all the time we have for this episode. Be sure to check back next week after the Cardinals take on the Utica Pioneers. For Cardinal Television, I'm James Bailey. Catch you next time.